Every place else is legitimate. The United States and Israel, right? Why isn't Canada on stolen land? Are Canadians indigenous? Why isn't Mexico stolen land? Or all the countries of Central and South America? Why are they not stolen land? Where's the Mayan and Aztec nations, right? Why is it only the United States and Israel that's on stolen land? That's a good question, isn't it? You know why? Because the left, since the Vietnam War era, have been brainwashing the youth in our public education system to think these stupid things. Let me play this. This is the clip of Billie Eilish. And look at all these I guess, trained seals of celebrities in the audience. Woo! Woo! You know, I mean, they're like, you know, you ever go to SeaWorld and you see the seals, you throw them a little fish and they go, ah, 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 ah. That's what the celebrities at the Grammys are like last night. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know, do you think that Billie Eilish and all these multi-millionaire recording artists, do you think they take the Trump tax cuts from the big beautiful bill? I bet you they do. But I learned something today about Billie Eilish. And other than that, Billie Eilish is a stupid person that does not have a basic understanding of anything involving the United States. But Billie Eilish is a racist, maybe even a white supremacist. And let me tell you, I don't say that lightly. When I say I'm not like these liberals. Oh, you disagree with me, you're racist. Oh, you don't agree with me on this issue, you're a white supremacist. I don't call people racist or white supremacist lightly. Okay. I came across this today, and this is starting to go viral on social media. And Billie Eilish has some explaining to do. This is Billie Eilish. Any of you guys, you know what I'm talking about here? This is crazy. This is Billie Eilish live on stage in Ireland. In Ireland. And listen to what Billie Eilish has to say on the stage in Ireland. It's nice to come somewhere and everyone looks exactly like you. What Billie Eilish is saying is she likes being in a place where everyone's white and there are no black or brown people. How else would you take that? Let me play that again. Oh my goodness, Billie Eilish got some explaining to do. Oh my goodness. I mean, it doesn't get more racist than that. You know, this thing about stolen land, you know, what I said at the beginning is a very true statement. Out of all the countries in the world, especially if you look in North and South America, but you can do this throughout the world, they only say the United States and Israel are on stolen land, right? Central and South America, they never call them stolen land, even though the Spanish conquistadors and the Portuguese explorers massacred and exterminated all the indigenous people of South and Central America, the Aztecs, the Mayans, and there's other groups that are gone. Here in Florida, you know, Florida was part of Spain for a long time. The native Indians of Florida are extinct. The Seminoles are not native. They moved here after all the Indian Wars. And the native Indians of Florida are extinct. There's not a single one left. Why? Because of the Spanish conquistadors. So we in the United States, we have people from all the tribes still around. In fact, I've never heard of an American Indian tribe that was extinct. The Sioux, the Cherokee, and so they're all still out there. But the Central and South American tribes are extinct. They don't have some Aztecs or Mayans that have casinos like our Indians have here in the United States. And Billie Eilish and these liberal idiots, they're so stupid and brainwashed, although it's probably not hard to brainwash people this ignorant. You don't have that many brain cells you got to reprogram with people like Billie Eilish. But it's true, I'm not kidding, but this doesn't even occur to them that Hispanic people are also of European descent, just like white guys like me. And the Indians in the United States are not extinct like the ones in Central and South America. So why is Mexico, all the countries of South and Central America, why is that not stolen land? But the United States is. Why isn't Canada stolen land? But the United States is. And the only other place they claim to be on stolen land, of course, is Israel. Well, here's the reasons, right? It's pretty simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Billie Eilish could probably figure this one out. Why do liberals say that only the United States and Israel are on stolen land? There's two reasons, one for each country. And no other country is on stolen land. Well, with Israel, they just hate Jews, okay? They're anti-Semites, so they hate Jews. So since they hate Jews, they're on stolen land, even though the Bible tells us that God gave the Jews the land that is Israel, okay? So why America? Yeah, they hate America, even though they live here and all of that. But why do they say we're on stolen land? You know why? Why? Because we got all the money, right? Canada doesn't have any money. They're a welfare state from us. Europe doesn't have any money. They're sucking off of us too, through all different types of things. The United States is the richest country in the world. We have the largest economy in the world. We have more money than any other nation on the planet. So because we're the richest nation, we're the one on stolen land, because they can use that to blackmail or guilt or whatever it is, money out of liberals when they're running the country. That's it. It's so stupid. It's so sad. And the thing about music has always been a place where people came out and fight the power and everything else, right? I mean, that's just how music has been, especially, we saw this during the 60s and all this stuff. And if you look at the protest era, and people that are the top musicians always think they're in the protest generation. But if you go back to the 60s and the 70s when the Vietnam War was still going on, you go to Woodstock and all of that, what they were fighting against, what they were really fighting for was to get high because they were all stoners. But what they thought they were fighting against back then, the 60s and 70s rock and roll generation, fight the power. They were fighting the establishment, in particular in regards to the war in Vietnam. They were fighting the establishment, the powers that be. And what's happened now? And you see these sheeple at the Grammys with Billie Eilish and that loser Trevor Noah, taking the focus. But what's going on there? Now they're fighting not the establishment. They are part of the establishment. See, fighting against ICE is what the establishment is fighting for. Donald Trump is a disruptor. Donald Trump is not an establishment president or candidate. He's been fighting the establishment. Hold on, guys. My throat is so dry. It's so cold. Yesterday we had the coldest day in 15 years here in Florida. The air is dry, and my throat is dry, and I talk for hours a day doing talk shows, so it catches up to me. But Donald Trump is a disruptor. He is fighting the establishment, right? The mainstream media, the deep state. the permanent Washington class. This is who President Trump has been fighting against since he came down the escalator. The people that shot him in Butler, tried to shoot him again at the golf course, and tried to put him in prison. What this idiot Billie Eilish and Trevor Noah and these Grammy loons, they think they'll fight the power. They're fighting for the establishment now. Remember Vivek Ramaswamy, when he was out campaigning for Trump, after he dropped out and was campaigning for Trump. Remember what Vivek Ramaswamy says. He says to the young people, you want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? Become MAGA. Vote Trump. Remember that? And that is a very, very true statement. So Billie Eilish, and let me share this with you. Hold on a second here. This is Scott Jennings. He's a spectacular. Scott Jennings, you guys know Scott Jennings. Trump loves Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings, he's on CNN, always embarrassing these liberals on the panels. And he was talking today about Billie Eilish at the Grammys. Let's listen to some of this. This is Scott Jennings today on his radio show. Yes. Oh. No, they don't. Your voice doesn't matter. Look at this. Oh, on broadcast TV. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, the Tomva tribe. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess maybe the Tonva need to move into Billie Eilish's mansion. She's on that stolen Indian land, or she'd probably say Native American land, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know, this is great. You know, I'm glad Billie Eilish did this, and I'll tell you why. Because it gives us an opportunity to talk about what's really going on. And today, President Trump was on Bongino's first show back. Bongino was back on his podcast today. And he had the president on as a guest. And the president brought up a lot of very important things. By the way, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631. It's toll free no matter where you are tuned in from. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. All right, let's go. So here's the president today on Bongino's debut show back. Mm. Wow. Yeah. So here you have this is the president on Bongino's debut show today. Crime down 75%, 80% in some cities because of the action he's taken. You know, all the crime we have in this country, we don't have that many criminals, right? I mean, we have a lot. I mean, we have a big country. There's a lot of people in it, but it's a small percentage of the population that are doing most of the crime, and it's not that difficult to end crime when you arrest the criminals and put them away. So what is this? You know, really what the Democrats have is a fetish for criminals. It seems to me, doesn't it? They have a fetish for criminals. So why do liberals, why do Democrats have this fetish for criminals? Are they like these lunatic women that like to marry guys in prison? I'm not exactly sure, but part of it is this. You know, I'll use Chicago as an example. See, in Chicago, the Democrats want the high crime. And the high crime, the disorder is how they keep control. If President Trump went in and did in Chicago what he did in D.C. or what he did in Memphis and end crime in Chicago, the Democrats that are running the city, how would they maintain control? Because once people don't have to look over their shoulder all the time for fear that they're going to get shot, you know, they'll start thinking, well, wait a minute, look at this dump of a city we're in. Look at this dump of a city we're in. What have the Democrats been doing with all our tax money? President Trump cleaned up the crime. Now what? They'll lose power. They want people to live in fear because if people are worried about their very survival walking to and from work or taking their kid to the bus stop, they don't have time to focus in on what the Democrats are doing, right? Exactly. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. The Brian Craig Show is available wherever you get podcast. Just search for The Brian Craig Show. If you want to catch the show live in video form, that's on YouTube. Just search for The Brian Craig Show on YouTube, and I'll pop right up. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, now this was, you know, you want to see how far gone the Democrats have gone. You know, this Trump derangement syndrome that they suffer from so much. You know, what this Trump derangement syndrome boils down to is whatever Trump says, they take the opposite, right? If he says the sky's blue, it's not, right? Whatever the opposite of blue is, I don't know. I don't know the color wheel, but you know what I mean. And even when it's on common sense things like putting rapists and murderers in jail. Listen to this. This idiot that's running the state of Virginia now. This is McEnany today on Fox. By the way, this is a this girl. She's very young. She's an assistant secretary of the Department of Homeland Security talking to McEnany. Oh my goodness. Crazy. I mean, think about that. I mean, the criminals that President Trump is deporting are people that are committing the worst crimes you could possibly commit. These are like people that you would see in Hostel. Serial killer like people, this the strangulation of a baby. I mean, these are they're the crimes that are the worst possible crimes humans can commit. They're defending their right to do it, from the Maryland man to the guy with strangling the baby. Yeah. And, the thing about violent criminals, one thing that is constant about violent criminals, and a lot of these are violent sexual crimes, right? When it comes to the sex criminals, you could castrate them and they'll still do sex crimes. There's nothing you can do to stop these people, the sex criminals and the murderers and these robbers. None of them are ever reformed. They don't go to jail and learn how to repair motorcycles or something and then get a job in a motorcycle shop. That's in the movies. Over 90% of them reoffend and go back because that's what they know. And you have these criminals that do the worst, most evil crimes. I mean, Satanist crimes. And they're letting them back out on the streets like it was nothing, and the Democrats, that's what they're defending. I was listening to Fox a little while ago. They had this liberal idiot on Fox, and they were talking about Petty and with the gun, how since that happened, Petty got shot. All of a sudden, the Democrats since then have been advocates of the Second Amendment and right to conceal carry and gun owners' rights and all this. And this guy I heard on Fox, he's like, well, Kyle Rittenhouse. And you hear this a lot. Kyle Rittenhouse this, Kyle Rittenhouse that. What about Kyle? You said Kyle Rittenhouse was okay, but Petty's not okay. Whatever your opinion is on Kyle Rittenhouse, he was acquitted by a jury because he was attacked and he was defending his life. But when he took that gun, which he had the legal right to do, he didn't take that rifle to go and fight cops. He went there to defend a business that was owned by somebody he knew during riots, okay? He wasn't going there to fight cops. There's a big difference there, if you notice. A big difference. But, the Democrats, we got the SEALs at the Grammys clapping along, like at SeaWorld or something. But you have the sheeple among the Democrats. They say these things and they don't even think about what it is that they are saying. Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, if Kyle Rittenhouse grabbed his gun and went and started fighting cops, then, okay, that would be a similar thing. But that's not the case. So, of course, the Democrats are losing everything. And anytime the Democrats are in trouble, they'll drop some new Epstein file. I mean, how many documents are there on Epstein? My goodness. I think they're still producing Epstein documents because, this guy, there's more documents about this guy than any other person. I can't imagine, Steve. Oh, I'll have to call Steve back after the show. But anytime things are not going well for the Democrats, all of a sudden there's an Epstein drop again. And every time they have these Epstein drops, Trump gets cleared again. And, we found out, of course, that President Trump turned Epstein into the police, the local police, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And later we found out from Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, that later President Trump became an informant for the FBI. So Mayor Giuliani was on with Benny Johnson today, and Giuliani gave some more detail that I've never heard before. First time I heard this, about what exactly went down when President Trump kicked uh, Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when he first found out that he was a creep, and what he did. And it's amazing. I've never heard this story. And this is Mayor Giuliani today. Listen to this. Now listen to this. Wow, that's Giuliani on Benny Johnson today. Pretty good story, huh? Yeah, he didn't mess around with this guy, right? But you know, the Never Trumpers, they know that when they're up against it and Trump's winning, if they drop anything that any story about Epstein, made up, of course, that it'll get them out of hot water for a few hours because a lot of people will jump on that. All right, now if you're on hold, hang in there. Um, my name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, there's more to cover. Don't go anywhere.
Steve Kane or Steve Kane?
All right, we're back. I'm Brian, and this is the Brian Craig Show. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. So, Bongino's back today. Today was his first podcast back from the FBI, and it's good to have him back because even though the FBI and the Justice Department have been a bit of a disappointment, although they've been rounding up these church people and got Don Lemon and all that stuff, but we don't have Brennan and Comey and the America's Most Wanted. They're still roaming free. But he's back on his podcast, and I'm glad that he is because, since the Never Trumpers assassinated Charlie Kirk, this clique of the household name podcasters on the right have just been in self-destruct mode. Tucker and Megyn Kelly and, of course, Candace Owens. And they've gotten into this thing where they're always attacking President Trump. So we know that's not going to happen with Bongino. His first guest today was the president. I played one clip. Here's another one. The president continuing to talk about crime with Bongino. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's Trump. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They refuse to give Trump credit because of the Trump derangement syndrome. We've never this time of Trump, right? This second term that we're in a way, we kind of get spoiled, right? Because Trump's been on the scene so long that none of us alive have had a president that did so much for the American people. All of the other presidents in their second term, all they're doing is trying to set themselves up financially for when they leave office. And they don't care about anything in regards to the American people. And these deportations not only has lowered crime all over the country, it's also created a lot of jobs because these illegals, they're no longer taking up jobs that Americans or legal immigrants could have. But one of the biggest things right now that people have a hard time with are rent. Rent prices nationwide are so high. I saw, I went out a little while ago. I'm driving down the street and I saw there was a for rent sign on the side of the road for a house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and not a spectacular neighborhood. It was over $5,000 a month rent. I think, my goodness, over $60,000 a year to rent in not a very nice neighborhood where this sign was. And one of the reasons rents have been so high is because tens of millions of illegals have been brought to the country. And they're taking up that rental property, and it's a supply and demand. Well, look at this. Look at this. Denver rent is its most affordable in at least 9 years. And by the way, that's according to Zillow. Denver rent is at its most affordable in at least 9 years. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporting Pittsburgh apartment rental prices have dropped. CNBC, apartment rents just dropped to the lowest level in 4 years. This is all because of Trump. ABC Channel 15 out of Arizona. A lot of illegals in Arizona. There used to be, right? Listen to this. New reports show rental prices drop in Phoenix and across most U.S. markets. That's because of the deportations. And when there's all these vacancies, the landlords lower the rent so they can fill it up. Isn't that amazing? Courtesy of Donald Trump and ICE, Billie Eilish. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, shop for 9. Good morning.
Yeah, what's up? It's well in the afternoon, but I guess it's the morning somewhere.
Sorry. I'm on the West Coast, so you're right. It is afternoon.
It's afternoon on the West Coast, too.
Yes, I'm sorry. Anyway, this English chick, first question I want to ask her is, when is she, Eillish, whatever. Anyway, when is she going to start accepting people into her house? When are all the illegals going to start parking,
would you be surprised? She lives in California. She probably has all kinds of illegals, right? Cleaning her house, mowing her lawn.
Exactly. Does she have walls around her house to keep out everybody, all her fans?
Yeah,
I wonder about
sure.
that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess.
Does she require people to buy tickets and pay to come see her concerts on stolen American Indian land?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, and it's so funny because I watch like streams with these crazy people protesting, and that term or that phrase is actually utilized quite often when they start to get
the stolen land.
No one's illegal on conquered land.
On stolen
land. And the funny thing, on stolen land, whatever it is, in all of the empires that have ever been created, they conquer land. This is conquered land. Some of it has been transactional, where it was paid for to foreign countries, like through purchases, but it's been conquered. That's the way it works.
I never really hear Indians complaining that much. Do you?
Most of them actually end up, that's because of it. Well, I mean, in regards to that issue, there's been, allowances for
like that whole thing with the Washington Redskins. I never heard Indians complaining about that. It was always white liberals.
There's those things are just so ridiculous. Listen, these people do not belong here, okay? They have broken the law. Let's just not try to basically make something that is it's just not the case. They have broken the law. They're not seeking amnesty. It's just, I think it was Stephen Miller who ended up breaking it down beautifully. And I don't know if it was a tweet or if it was an interview, where he basically stated if they were seeking amnesty from whatever country, then they go to the other country and ask for amnesty, and then they're away from whatever perils that they were, so they're no longer in need.
That's right.
No, instead what they do is they cross 3 or 4 countries on their way here.
Well, but then they Billie Eilish and these idiots, they seem to forget that the Hispanics of Central and South America are of European descent too, Spaniards and the Portuguese, and that the natives of Central and South America are extinct. They were murdered by the Spanish and the Portuguese. So why is all of that okay and not stolen land?
Because it's an argument that is ridiculous in nature,
exactly.
and
it's stupid.
they have nothing to back it up. There's nobody up there actually challenging them, so they can technically say whatever they want. And they're surrounded by sycophants that think exactly like them. Mm-hmm. So they, and wearing all these stupid ass pins of ICE out and what have you. First, they were saying that it wasn't an actual, that ICE wasn't a law enforcement agency. Oh, go figure.
You go and look. You go and look. Yeah. By the way, thanks for the call. I appreciate you brought up the pins. The history of the pins with liberal celebrities, right? Right now, they're all wearing these F-ICE pins. Last year, that's what's in fashion this year. Last year, they were all wearing Ukraine flag pins, right? Then for years, for like 25 years, they were wearing the AIDS ribbon. It's all, what it is with the left is it's mostly stupidity. And then the rest of it, the ones that aren't completely stupid, it's just virtue signaling. But a lot of it is they're trying to get jobs. Like Trevor Noah, who was hosting the Grammys, he hosted The Daily Show for a while, right? And The Daily Show was given back to Jon Stewart. Does Trevor Noah have a regular full-time job? I don't think that he does. So the reason that he was trashing Trump, he was doing a shout out, somebody please hire me, I hate Trump, hire me. That's what that was all about. And by the way, when he's out there attacking ICE, Trevor Noah is from South Africa. He came from South Africa to America to host The Daily Show. I don't know if he's become a U.S. citizen since then, but he has had work documents. He's not illegal. He goes through the whole process. So Trevor Noah, who's hosting the Grammys, why is it okay for him to go through the whole process that he went through, get employment documents so we could host a Daily Show, but all these others he thinks should just be able to come here without any of the documents? Interesting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean.
Well, I saw some highlights from the, this Grammys and everything, and Billie Eilish and all the other yahoos. And I'm telling you, they like to put up a big front. They don't believe in anything that they say, nothing, because they live by capitalism. They breathe by it, but they go up there and start preaching to the masses of the sheep that they call sheep. They like to think of sheep for socialism and all these other things. They're never around any dangers. They had a 15-foot barrier protecting them coming into that awards show.
Well, I think if these people at the Grammys were honest, I don't think they're upset at ICE, the people at the Grammys. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. This is a broad generalization. But I think what they're really upset about is that illegal drug prices have not only gone through the roof, illegal drugs are harder to get. And, all these Grammy people, are all drug addicts, right? And it's hard to get cocaine and fentanyl. It's not like the old days. It was easy to get cocaine and fentanyl, and now it's in short supply, and it's barely the drug anymore, if any, in it. So that's probably what their beef really is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be surprised at all at that, especially the ones coming from California.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what they all are, actually. And, it's funny how they just advocate so much for, criminals. And, look at Zoran Mondanu. Look what he just appointed to his, to the commissioner, a incarcerated felon.
Yeah.
Somebody to put up in that position.
Exactly.
He's proud of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what criminals do.
That's right. All right, hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Take care. Now, I was talking this morning about the Melania movie, record-breaking movie, right? Highest box office of a documentary in 10 years, made $9 million over the weekend, and 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And people are trying to downplay that. Well, did you see this article in Breitbart today? There were a couple of movies about the Obamas. I'd forgotten about these movies, but over at Breitbart, they looked it up. Listen to this. This is in Breitbart. And by the way, all these stories are on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. Here's the headline. Melania box office humiliates Barack Obama's movies. Melania's weekend box office haul of $7 million, by the way, it's $9 million. They wrote this a little before, not only represents the best opening weekend for a documentary in a decade, but also humiliated two Barack Obama movies released theatrically. In 2018, the film The Final Year was released in theaters, to great humiliation for all involved. Advertised as a chronicle of the Barack Obama administration's foreign policy team in the events of Obama's final year in office, it failed miserably, never landing in more than 39 theaters. Okay? Yeah. After 2 weeks in release, The Final Year grossed $262,286. That's right. Even though it was almost certainly released in the Democrat-heavy cities like LA and New York, The Final Year only grossed $121 per theater during its opening weekend. By comparison, and by the way, it was only released in 8 theaters. Nobody wanted to share the Obama movie. By comparison, Melania was in 1,778 theaters over the weekend and grossed $1,035 per theater. Critics drooled over The Final Year with an 83% fresh rating in Rotten Tomatoes. But listen to this. There was another movie South Side with You. Oh, yes. I remember that. There was so much hype about this movie. Listen to this. South Side with You. Do you even remember this movie about the Obamas? South Side with You is a feature film about Barry and Michelle's first date. Released domestically in the summer of 2016 and in 6 foreign countries. The worldwide box office gross was $6.6 million. A worldwide release, $6.6 million. Southside with You went as wide as 897 theaters. It was in theaters for 70 days with a 92% rating from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, but only made $6.6 million. So Melania is a hit. It's doing very, very well. The highest grossing documentary in 10 years. 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes among verified moviegoers. And I saw it yesterday, and you should go and see it too. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. And if you're already subscribed, please like the video. And if you could take the link and share on your social media, that would be great too. My name is Brian. Thanks for tuning in.